Hello guys, welcome back to one of our videos in our series about meeting with people who collaborate with us and hearing their gospel story and how they came to faith. So here we have Clarissa Stockton. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, Clarissa, who are you? What do you do? What are your interests? Any of that jazz.
Yeah, so hey, I'm Clarissa. I am part of a rock band called Amongst Wolves. So we're part of a charity, a Christian charity in Manchester called the Message Trust. And basically we go around pre-COVID, we go around to schools, to high schools, and into prisons and different places, and we share the gospel through music and through delivering lessons. And at the moment, during COVID, we're doing a lot of stuff online, so different YouTube videos every week. And yeah, so that's what I do. Interests, what do I like to do? I obviously like playing music. Otherwise it could be...
What instrument are you on?
So I play bass in the band, but I also play piano and guitar. And what do I like? I like to drink tea, apparently. Got a mug here. That's what I've seen now. Very good, very good. I like films and just hanging out with people. Again, pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID. I can't wait for this thing to stop and just all of us can get back to normal or normalcy.
So good.
Yeah. It's so amazing what you do, man. Rock music, and you go and evangelize to people through that. How has that experience been with evangelism and rock, integrating the two, getting people out there? How has that been?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny because actually, like when I started bands, I like rock music, but not that much. So I was like, what is this? What is this music? What have I done? But it's actually awesome. Like, music is just an incredible tool to use to get people listening to what you have to say, and get people understanding your story and what it is to follow Jesus. And people just really connect with it. People love it. It's an incredible way to do that. And so people just really listen. When we go into schools and stuff, and they just want to kind of engage with what we have to say. So it's just a great way of doing it, we found.
I'm glad to hear about what you've been doing with rock music and evangelism and integrating the two, and what the Message Trust does. So what was your background like before you became a Christian? Were you raised in a Christian household, or were you not raised in a Christian household?
So I was raised in a Christian household. So my parents are missionaries, so I was definitely like
in the deep end.
Yeah, completely. Just brought up always like going to church and reading the Bible. So it was always around me. I don't really remember a time when I didn't believe that God was real. So yeah, because of that background, I definitely became a Christian at a young age, because I was privileged to I guess have that background of my parents just sharing their faith with me, which is really cool.
Yeah, and putting it in there and drilling it in with Bible stories, everything. I can 100% relate. My grandmother was a warrior. She would wake us up and say, "We need to pray now." So it's one of those things. Yeah. So what was your experience being a missionary kid? Like, what was it? Did you go around different places, or?
So I feel like I've had a slightly different experience to like other missionary kids, but originally we were missionaries in England, I guess, if that's possible. And then we moved to Berlin when I was 7. And lived there for a few years, and they were missionaries there. So I kind of, it was a slight culture shock, I guess. I mean, I'm actually half German myself, so it was.
So knowing the other side of yourself.
It was quite cool to experience that. But I actually loved it. I loved like traveling around and just go with my parents wherever they were going. It was cool. I really enjoyed it.
That's so cool, man. That is so cool. So, at what point did you like first meet? Well, obviously you heard the gospel from your parents. At what point do you think it really came into your head, like you really realized it for yourself, what the gospel message is, the beauty of the gospel, the fact that Jesus came down, Jesus was a real person. It's not just your parents saying, oh, Jesus, believe in Jesus. You actually know for yourself that Jesus is real, God is real, and he has saved you. How did you come to know that?
Yeah. So it just reminds me that in schools, when we go in schools and we have like Q&A sessions and stuff, people ask us often about like when we became a Christian. And I'm always keen to say that it's a choice that you have to make. I feel like a lot of people think that just because your parents are Christian means that automatically you're a Christian, but that is just not the case at all. Like, it's a choice, it's a relationship that you have with God yourself. And so I would say I became a Christian when I was 7, so I was pretty young. Obviously I didn't fully understand everything because I was young, but I feel like I understood enough. I understood about the love of God and that I loved him, and that he was my Lord and Savior at that age. And so I accepted him into my life then. But it was definitely a process. As I grew up, I was able to understand more and more. And so I feel like I had so many like revelation points where I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, like, oh wow, Jesus died for me. Like grace. I remember like fully understanding what grace was, and just these incredible moments like, oh man, that's awesome. And I think we still get that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm gonna have those moments throughout my life. I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you can never really comprehend it, can you? Like I've had that moment this morning myself where I was just like, wow, I was in tears in my room. I was just like, oh my goodness, God is real and he loves me and he saved me. And, I don't deserve this, but grace, as you're saying, the grace of God is too beautiful. So after that moment when you're 7 years old, I don't know if you still remember like before that, but how did you become different as a person? Like, how in your Christian journey have you progressively changed and matured, and what's your journey look like?
Yeah, so I mean, I can't really remember much before 7, so I can't really say from that point the change, but I can definitely, looking back, I can see the change, particularly in my teenage years. Kind of as I was starting to learn stuff but couldn't fully grasp things, and God was just teaching me stuff all the time of what it means to live for him, and what it means to live under his grace as well. I think a particular moment for me was when I was 15. So when I was 15, I developed an anxiety disorder, and that completely changed my life in many ways. I feel like, it was bizarre because suddenly all the stuff that I could normally do, I just couldn't do anymore. So like even going to school, I was doing my GCSEs, and going to school was just a massive struggle every single day, and going and doing the exams and going to church, hanging out with friends, playing music, all this stuff I just suddenly couldn't do. And it was super scary. It was super confusing, and it felt very much like my identity was just gone like that. Like I was just like, who am I now? All this stuff that I thought I can do, and all the stuff that I love, and I want to be a musician when I'm older, and I can't do that suddenly. And it was just, a really bizarre place. But actually in that place, I felt like I had a choice of being like, okay, either I'm going to blame God right now and say, God, why are you doing this to me? Why am I struggling so much? Why, all these why questions. Or I could choose to trust him and ask him for help. And thankfully, I asked him for help and I cried out to him. And that was just an incredible moment for me, where I realized that I needed to put my trust in God. That, so often I feel like all of us do it, but we want to be in control of our own lives. And I feel like I was trying to do that a lot prior to that moment, and I still try and do that, let's face it. But actually, yeah, it was that moment of being like, okay, I feel out of control right now. I don't have control over my thoughts. I don't have control over all that's going on around me. I need to trust God in this moment. I need to trust God that is far bigger than my issues, far bigger than me and this whole world. And I need to trust him on a daily basis. And that revelation for me absolutely just transformed the way I lived. It just brought me so much closer to him. I realized that spending time with God and trusting him just gave me the sense of peace and allow me to do things that I didn't expect that I could do, to be honest. Like from that moment when I was 15, that suddenly I was able to do, like, go back to school and do all my exams and stuff. And generally I couldn't have done that without God's help in those moments, because I literally was just not able to do it. But even now, like, God still teach me every day to trust him, and he's allowed me to do this incredible stuff, like my job. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. I wouldn't be able to go into schools and perform in front of people and do all this crazy stuff.
Oh,
I know, it's scary. But it's something that I could only do in God's strength. And so my voice is gone, but that was a massive realization for me that actually I cannot do this on my own. I have not got that control. I'm far too weak on my own to I guess journey life in the way that God has intended me to do, and so I need God's help every single day. That's something that I still struggle with, but it's a beautiful journey for sure.
It really is, especially what you said about when you got diagnosed with the anxiety disorder, and your identity just feels like everything has been stolen away from you. Everything that marks you to be Clarissa has just gone. And it's so amazing because God is that constant. Like what James says, is he's got no shadow of change. He is the only constant that we need, despite what happens to us. And I find it so amazing that he has helped you, and to come to this like stage you're at right now, where you're performing in front of like multiple different people, going to different places, and it's scary, but he's got you, man. He's got you. I love that. So what sort of advice would you give to someone who's struggling in their life right now, be it struggling with personal things that they're going through, or even struggling with sharing the gospel with other people? What sort of advice would you give to them?
I think it goes back to what God taught me all those years ago, that actually just trust him. And I know that's such an easy thing to say, and it sounds so simple, but it is not easy to do. Like, we just totally, it kind of goes against everything that I want to do. I want to trust myself. I want to be in control. But actually, no, we need to every single day say, okay, God, I trust you. I'm going to let you be in control today. I'm going to let you be in charge, and I'm going to listen to you and follow you and do what you want for me to do today. And I think that is so freeing. I think it's so important to do. And I think, I think it really helps with whatever's going on, whether that's personal issues that you're struggling with, maybe that's mental health issues, something that I'm obviously really passionate about. And whether that's sharing the gospel as well, it's sometimes you just gotta trust God that he knows what he's doing, that sometimes, you see that person and you feel from God that you got to go and speak to them. You're like, no, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. But actually, you just got to remember that God's in control, that he is far greater and far stronger than I am. He will give me what I need for that moment. So just trust him. So it's all good. That's my advice.
Yeah. I love that message of trust, because most times we just trust ourselves because we're the ones who can see the situation. We're like, I can see what's going on. This is not going to go, like the probability of this happening is so slim right now. So I'm not going to even do it. But God sees far beyond that. He sees so many branches that we can't. He sees past, present, and future. So what you're saying, like, trust in the all-seeing God, because you're just human. You can't see a thing. So yeah, I love that message of, just trusting God, even with the gospel message, just trusting in him and leaning on him. Thank you so much, Clarissa, for
good. Thanks for having me.
Everything you've shared. Really, I've actually learned so much, and you keep moving. I hope to see you some other time again with us. Maybe you perform for me, one day.
Wow, love that. Yeah, post-COVID, let's do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I hope you've been blessed by what you've heard today. And if you have, I'd love to encourage you to partner with us here at OGGM as a monthly giver. At OGGM, we're a charity funded by the donations of people such as yourselves, and that enables us to do the varying work that we do, from retreats to podcasts to mission trips to homeless outreaches and so much more. So if you'd like to give, please click the